Hello, beautiful souls. Thank you for coming back to the podcast. For those of you who are new, my name is Jenny. I am a Western tropical zodiac astrologer. I'm here to coach with the cosmos, to teach you how to embrace the poetry of the planets. I just wrote the book on this. Thank you to those of you who have bought this book on Amazon. This is the introduction to astrology. What are the big three, the sun, moon, rising? How do you find these in your chart? How do you embrace these energies in your chart? I finally wrote this book. This is the book everyone's been asking me to write for about 6, 7 years now. So I wrote it. This is my other new-ish book that I published this year, and it's shadow work and astrology, how to combine shadow work and astrology. And I'm encouraging you, if you haven't bought the book already, this year, 2025, is demanding us to do the shadow work. Let's get into it. In this podcast, I am going to be going through the top 5 energetics of the astrology of 2025. So there's so much we could say. I'm not even going into the moons in this particular podcast. We're not even going to talk about the Venus retrograde in this particular podcast. But what we are going to talk about is the top 5 energies that we're all going to be feeling with the extreme astrology happening in 2025. First of all, 2 plus 0 plus 2 plus 5 equals 9. So in numerology, the 9 is the final number. So yes, endings. Yes, we all need to embrace change in 2025. Also in the Chinese zodiac, 2025 is represented by the snake. And the snake is all about shedding those old skins. So get ready to work with our triggers. And when we come across a trigger, it's now time for us to be courageous enough to say, oh, here's a trigger. Okay, this is another invitation for me to go deeper into my shadow. So I can't recommend shadow work enough for 2025. And this is not at all meant to be fear-based, fear-mongering, scare tactics, nothing like that. What I'm trying to say is we're talking whole new paradigms, not steady energy for 2025. And we've had a lot of coaching from the cosmos, especially since that 2020. We all know what happened then. And there was a conjunction at that time. We won't go back and look at that. But that really set us up for this new world that we're all living in. And then 2024 has been a doozy, and we all know it. And, I've been talking about the astrology of 2024 with the biggest of all being Pluto moving into Aquarius. It dipped back and forth, but it is now. Pluto is now in Aquarius. That is a whole new generational energy. You can go back and look at my podcast on Pluto and Aquarius. What are the top lessons? What are the energetics there? And I go over how it brings in a whole new generation. So it's like the baby boomers, Gen X. It's a whole new generation when Pluto enters a new sign. So we are in that. And I have to say that Pluto moving into Aquarius in 2024 was planting the seed for us to get ready for 2025 because there are 4, count them, 4 outer planets moving into new signs in 2025. So that is new energy. That is new world. That is new paradigm. So we need to be ready for extreme changes. That is the reality of when these outer planets move into new signs. And we saw it. We all felt it. Pluto became the most talked about planet of 2024. It had a minute. It had its 5 minutes of fame, and we all felt it. So let's talk about it. What are the top 5 energetics? Let's dive into it. And I will say that I am providing a free PDF for all of you who want to watch what are the top transits of each month. And I've written it out. Again, I didn't even include the moons. We didn't even talk about Venus retrograde, but I talked about, as an astrologer, what I see as the biggest astrological transits for each month. So check out in the description for that free PDF. It's cool to just print off and give it a look every once in a while and check in with yourself at the end of each month and just say, oh yeah, or to prepare yourself for what's coming. So check out that free PDF. And I'm going to go over not all of it in detail in this particular video, but we're going to be talking about the energetics of what each of those transits are bringing. First and foremost, the top one energy of the astrology of 2025: self-awareness, self-care, be your own hero. There are so many Mars and Pluto activations, oppositions, squares. Mars and Pluto, they, when used in shadow energy, and I go over what shadow energy and high vibe energy is in both of my books. When in shadow energy, it is definitely war. It definitely is. High vibing energy, when Pluto and Mars are squaring and opposing, that's an opportunity for all of us to be brave, be your own hero, drop the victim story. No more time for that. We ain't got no time for victim stories in 2025. And again, I always say that the cosmos are always coaching us, whether we're watching these kinds of astrology videos or not. We're feeling it, and we know when we need to smarten up. And I always give the example of, say you've been living with obesity for years and years and years. You finally get sick and tired of living with it. And that's when you finally make a change. And I just feel like the cosmos have been giving us like very gentle whispers, and then they started throwing pebbles at us, and then it became boulders and buildings. And we've all been feeling it. And I can't tell you how many texts I get a day from friends and clients like, what's going on in the cosmos? And it's just that. It is exactly what I'm just saying. It is the wake up. We need to take responsibility for ourselves. We need to step on to this hero's journey. And that comes from that Aries energy, that Mars energy. We've had the North Node in Aries. It's almost gone. You can go back and watch my video about the nodes moving into the Pisces and Virgo axis, which we're going to get into in a little bit here. But with the North Node being in Aries, all of us on a collective basis have been encouraged to be our own hero, to be courageous, to take the steps, to do the things, to make the decisions. You don't need to be wallowing in your victim story anymore. It's getting you nowhere and it's doing you no good. And you're probably sick and tired of your own BS. And that's what I talk about in the shadow work journal that I've written. I describe what shadow work is, and I give brain hacks to rewire, to reprogram. We've all been encouraged to rewire and reprogram our subconscious minds so that we can go forward with courage and be the pioneer and be the hero in our life. Number one energetic of the astrology of 2025 is be the hero, because we are going to be reaching that 0 degree mark of Aries twice with Neptune and Saturn, but the other two planets aren't going into Aries. I told you there are 4 outer planets changing signs this year. It's unprecedented. It's unprecedented to have that many outer planets giving new world energy. And so they're all going to be reaching a 0 degree mark. And that is the Aries mark in the tarot. The 0 degree mark is the Fool. And it's the Fool takes the leap. He doesn't even look. He just takes the leap, thinks later, thinks about it later. And so we've all been encouraged by the cosmos gently get moving, make decisions, do the thing, take care of yourself, slow down, especially with Uranus being in Taurus, and that's going to be moving. We're going to talk about that. We've all been encouraged to rest, to heal, to take care, to find out who we are, to be the own hero, be the entrepreneur of our life, whether we start an online business or whether we just become the CEO of our life. Finally, we step into that energy. So the nodes have been encouraging us, the moons that have been in Aries. It's been Aries energy, get up and do the thing, okay? So we have the 0 degree mark happening, and we need to have the courage to step into that. And you don't have courage to step into that if you are continuing with victim stories, if you're doing the repeated knee-jerk reactions. And when you know that you are doing knee-jerk reactions, you do shadow work. So be brave, Step into the shadows, embrace your triggers because things are changing this year. It is going to be new world energy. Nothing's going to be steady in 2025. We've got the Chinese zodiac telling us to become a snake and shed those old skins. So, number one energy is to take care of yourself and be courageous. Make the decision. Oh, I'm speaking directly to you. You know what you need to do, and you're going to have extreme clarity in 2025. You know what you need to do to enter into this a completely new world energy. Number two, what is the second main energetic of the astrology of 2025? So it's this new paradigm of 0 degree mark. We've got Neptune going into Aries on March 30th. We've got Saturn going into Aries on May 24th. They won't be exactly conjunct. They won't be at the exact same degree of Aries until 2026. So 2025 is letting us feel out this energy of Neptune and Saturn being together in Aries so that we can get used to it, so that we can work with the energy, so that we can be courageous, so that we can make the decisions. And then in February of 2026, Neptune and Saturn will be at the exact degree in Aries. And then that's going to be when it's all changed. Now, normally Neptune and Saturn together it talks about big, big, big changes. And it could indicate war. It could indicate fighting. But it could also indicate what did we learn with Neptune being in Pisces? What did we learn from Saturn being in Pisces? Both of those planets are meeting up in Aries and they've been in Pisces. What did we learn from Pisces? Pisces can be all about those rose-colored glasses, seeing the best, refusing to look at the negative. So refusing to do shadow work, refusing to look at the fact like, oh, I'm the one that's playing the blame game. I'm the one that's pointing the finger. Nope, nope, everything's going to be just fine. And I'm just going to wait for it to manifest. Once you get into Aries energy does things. It's masculine energy. It goes out and does the thing. It makes the decision. So Pisces can be very confusing. Neptune loves being in Pisces. And you can drown in addictions because Neptune and Pisces both rule addictions. You can just drown in that energy and just turn on the Netflix and just watch it and just drink and just. And then when Neptune moves into Aries, it's that new, okay, I got to wake up. I got to make some decisions. I have to be the own hero of my own life. So it's the same with Saturn. Saturn grounds. Saturn is very grounding and Saturn has boundaries. Neptune in Pisces has no boundaries. So when Saturn gets into Aries, we might all wake up and realize we need to make boundaries within our relationships, with our boss at work. We're going to feel the need to step into that hero energy and to have the difficult conversations that we've been avoiding and to step into putting up some boundaries. So get used to that, embracing that. It's new energy. This is setting us up for what these new paradigms, especially with these four planets going into new signs. This is new Earth energy. This is a whole new paradigm. So embrace the fact that we need to make some boundaries. And all of us, even those of us who have been working on boundary work for 10, 20 years, even more, and stepping into being our own hero, speaking up for ourselves. It's often easy to speak up for others, but not so easy to speak up for ourselves. It's that kind of energy. Get ready for that 0 degree mark. And for those of you who are into astrology, look at your birth chart. Do you have 0 degrees in your birth chart anywhere? Look, look, if you have it at 0 degree Aries, well, this is a whole new world energy for you. But are you familiar with 0 degree mark? Because that is that whole new energy stepping into the new and embracing that. Okay, and then the second main energetic of the astrology of 2025 has to do with what I've just been talking about, but it's the 29-degree mark. So the 29-degree mark is where all of these planets are leaving. They're going to come to that 29-degree mark. And then next will be the 0-degree mark when they all enter Aries, Jupiter's entering Cancer, Uranus is entering Gemini. But first, they'll be at the 29-degree mark of the end of that sign before they get to the 0. And that 29-degree mark, we're going to be feeling it in Aries, Pisces Aries, and in Gemini Cancer, and in Taurus Gemini, because that's where all the planets, those four major outer planets, are moving into those signs. So the 29-degree mark, that's that final lesson that these outer planets have been trying to usher into our life. So look, if you have your astrology birth chart, find out where Pisces is. What's the house placement of Pisces? Because that's where Neptune and Saturn have been, and they're going to move into Aries. Jupiter's moving into Cancer, getting out of Gemini. Uranus is moving out of Taurus and going into Gemini. What's the house placement? What are those lessons you learned in those houses? Those are huge life lessons for you to evolve as a human, and it's not easy. These are not easy lessons, but they help us evolve to the next step. They help us glow up. You can't glow up until you have reached rock bottom, become the phoenix, and rose from the ashes. You can't have a complete transformation unless you become the butterfly, but first you were the caterpillar. It's that kind of energy that we're going to be coming across this year. It's in 2025. This is not for this is not easy energy, but I say bring it on. This is going to bring me to my next level. I am ready. So let's get back to that second or to the third main point about the tension and release point of 29 degrees. Now, if you have 29 degrees in your birth chart on any point, planet, asteroid, I can almost guarantee you are psychic. 29 degree is the psychic degree. It's also the final degree, so it's called an anaretic degree. So it brings tension, but don't you love it when you have tension in your life because you finally make a change? If things are easy and life is just so and just money's flowing into your bank and you don't have to do anything and no one's bothering you, you're not going to make any changes. You wouldn't get so sick and tired of your own BS to make the change like I was talking about with the shadow work. So we're going to be feeling this tension of the final lessons from Neptune and Pisces, Saturn and Pisces, Jupiter in Gemini, and Uranus in Taurus. And these planets stay in these signs for years, sometimes decades, right? So we've had plenty of time, plenty of coaching from the cosmos to make the changes, to learn the lessons, to embrace it and embody it. But we're all going to be feeling that 29-degree mark. So what was the lesson from Neptune being in Pisces? Because it's going to be going into Aries on March 30th, right at an eclipse, by the way. There's an eclipse March 29th. And then the next day, Neptune moves into Aries. So it's like we've got an eclipse, we've got Neptune going into Aries. Get ready. And that's also spring equinox time. So that's a huge energetic of 2025. But I digress. Go back to what has Saturn has been in Pisces teaching you. Have you been too loosey-goosey with your boundaries? Have your boundaries been leaky? Because Saturn doesn't like being in Pisces. Pisces doesn't like boundaries. Saturn brings restrictions and rules and boundaries and makes you do the work, right? Jupiter's been in Gemini. So what's that 29-degree Gemini mark in your birth chart? Because Jupiter will be moving into Cancer on June the 9th. And then July the 7th, okay? Uranus moves into Gemini. Okay. Uranus has been in Taurus since 2018, I believe. Don't quote me, but I'm pretty sure. And Uranus has not liked being in Taurus. Taurus is grounded. Taurus is slow. But have you been embracing that energy and embracing slowing down because Uranus seeks to liberate you. So perhaps over these last few years, Uranus has helped you. Uranus is the great genius, by the way. Uranus seeks to liberate, but it's also the great genius. So perhaps many of you have felt the need to learn how to meditate. You finally learned how to meditate with Uranus going through Taurus, okay? Or you finally learned how to garden because Taurus rules food and gardening. So you slowed your life down, right? You slowed down, you healed, you finally did the shadow work because Uranus is the great genius. And that is a genius move to rewire the subconscious mind to realize, okay, that is actually a knee-jerk reaction, which is coming from my subconscious mind. So I'm going to be the great genius of my life and I'm going to rewire my brain. That is perfect example of embracing Uranus going through Taurus, but with Uranus going into Gemini on July the 7th. Gemini moves fast. This is quick energy. This is a whole new paradigm. Uranus in Gemini is going to bring exciting new technological advances. We're going to be thinking faster. We're going to be manifesting fast. Everything's going to be fast. But with Uranus going through Taurus, have we slowed the F down? Now, again, this happens on July 7th, so we still have time, and maybe you've been feeling it, and we're getting close to that 29-degree mark, and we finally need to learn to do this shadow work. I know I need to do this. I know I need to rewire my subconscious mind. I know I need to stop with the knee-jerk reactions. I know I need to be honest about my triggers and take radical responsibility for them. I know I need to stop blaming others. I know I need to get out of my victim story. That's what Uranus and Taurus has been encouraging all of us to do. I wrote the book while Uranus was in Taurus. So we still have some time, but that 29-degree mark is going to hit in the summer. And then we're going to be at the 0-degree mark. So that tension and release of the 29-degree mark, we're going to be feeling throughout this entire year. And again, we're getting all three, Neptune, Saturn, and Uranus going back, retrograding back into the old sign. So we're getting like a little hint, a little sneak peek. And then they're all going to be going back this year. And then they're all going to be going, okay, now you're ready for the new world in 2026. Okay, so this is it's a preparation year. Again, it's 2 plus 0 plus 2 plus 5 equals 9. This is endings. You've got to end those knee-jerk reactions. Okay, we've got to learn how to end the victim stories. You're not going to survive it. Let's put it that way if we don't take radical responsibility for ourselves. And I put the first point of self-awareness, self-care, taking responsibility for self, embracing high vibing Aries, be your own hero energy as my first main point because I see it. I see it in the stars. It is written in the stars for us to be our own hero and to take radical responsibility for ourselves. Okay. So the fourth point is it is unsteady. This energy is unsteady, and I got into that with the three of Neptune, Saturn, and Uranus going back. So they're going into the 0-degree mark, but then they're going to go back to the 29-degree mark. So it's in and out energy. So we're going to feel tension, and we're going to feel it's like I have to do this feeling. I know I have to do this. It's like my last chance, but then it will go back. It goes into 0 degrees and then it will go back. So we're going to feel it again and again, and we're going to get it right. The cosmos are always coaching us to get it right, and we're feeling it. You don't even need to watch this video to know. You know you're getting sick and tired of your own BS. And for me, a lot of it had to do with shadow work. I'm constantly still doing shadow. It's not like I'm some kind of an expert at my triggers and shadows, but now I'm way better at identifying them and taking radical responsibility for myself. Zero blame to anyone. Not at all going down the victimization story because that is such a waste of energy. These cosmos are encouraging all of us to conserve our energy because it's new world energy. We need to prepare ourselves. So with 2025 equaling 9, it's the final. This is our final year to get it right. We're going to feel a lot of tension and there's going to be a lot of release points. And I'm not even talking about the moons. And so watch for that, everyone. I'm going to be doing an ebook on the moons, to work with the moons, how to manifest with the moons. That's coming up too. Okay, and then my final fifth point about the astrology of 2025 is we are moving into mostly fire and air signs. Okay, Aries, Neptune and Saturn going into Aries, and Uranus going into Gemini. This is fast energy. So we're going to be thinking faster. Time's going to be flying by. We are going to manifest faster than we're already feeling these energies. I've talked to so many of my clients who are already feeling time is just going so fast. Even like mundane everyday things, like you put on the washing machine and it normally takes like a minute or an hour and 15 minutes. So you press it, you go off and do your thing, and all of a sudden you hear the buzzer and it's like, what? That was an hour and 15, that felt like 20 minutes. That's just a silly everyday example of how we're all noticing how time is just speeding up. So 2025 is preparing us for even more. Like we're talking flying cars, especially once Uranus moves into Gemini. We're talking technology we can't even like imagine right now. We're talking AI times a million as to I'm filming this in December of 2024. And if I were to go back at that time, July 7th onward, and just look back and just say, oh my gosh, I can't believe I was still doing it that way, or thinking that I hadn't even embraced this and that with technology. Things are going to go so fast. To embrace AI is a really good hot tip as well. If you're afraid of I would suggest maybe taking courses on AI in order to embrace it. We all need to learn how to use it. And we have been using it for years, by the way, if you've ever Googled anything, which every single human on Earth has Googled something. So AI is changing. Manifestations are going to be moving faster. Time's going to be flying. Technologies that you never even could have imagined. Um, and just to give you like a quick, like I'm not going to go through too much here. I wanted to give the five energetics, but like the last time Neptune was in Aries, and that's happening on March 30th, right at the eclipses, was 1861 to 1875. And that was the American Civil War, and that was the Franco-Prussian War. So those were some of the headlines last time Neptune was in Aries. Yes, I said it at the beginning of this video. Yes, this is war energy, but it doesn't have to be. And if we want world peace, just like Miss America, what we need to do on an individual level is find peace in our own hearts first and foremost. And that's why the first point of this whole video was taking radical responsibility for self. Stop blaming others. Stop playing the blame game. Stop drowning in victimization stories and embrace triggers like you have never embraced before. Embrace the shadows like you have never done it before so that you can rewire your brain. You have the power. You have the power to be your own hero. That is Aries energy, and to rewire your brain and to think differently. And a mindset shift can change your world. And when you change your world, you can change the world. But it starts with yourself. And so, yes, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. This Neptune, Saturn, Aries energy has a lot to do with war in the past. And it always brought forward something to do with Russian wars as well. Saturn and Aries, last time it was there, it was April 1996 to June 1998. Okay, so Saturn moves faster than Neptune, we can see, right? So what happened during Saturn in Aries last time in 96 to 98? Think about in your own personal life too, that during that time my dad died, okay? During that time, the rise of the internet, they cloned Dolly the sheep. So I think cloning, I think it's already going on behind closed doors. We don't even know it, but there's going to be a rise in cloning. There was also the Rwanda genocide, okay, during that time. So again, it doesn't have to be war. We don't have to repeat history, okay? I'm say it once, I'll say it a million times. We don't have to go down that road again of war and genocide. But I'm just telling you how this energy played out last time in the skies. There was also the Asian financial crisis of 1997, and Hurricane Mitch of 98 hit the Atlantic. When was the last time Jupiter was in Cancer? Now, Jupiter is going into Cancer on June 9th of 2025. Last time it was June 2013 to July 2014, so much faster. You can see Jupiter moves much faster than the other two. So during that time was Black Lives Matter, marriage equality, and there was a Typhoon Hyena, which was in the Philippines. The Ebola outbreak happened in Africa, and that's when the rise of Bitcoin happened. So that's what happened the last. You can go back and you could ask AI to ask what happened, what were the headlines during Jupiter and Cancer. Now this is water energy. The other three, Neptune, Saturn, and Uranus, are all going into fire and air. Fire and air is fast and quick. Jupiter going into Cancer is water energy. So on a collective level, maybe flooding. Maybe there will be a rise of flooding because Jupiter expands everything. And then with the air and the fire happening with Neptune, Saturn, and Uranus, we might see, like, for instance, I live in Western Canada, and every summer we get more and more forest fires. And what we know about forest fires is a fire can start, but then if the wind hits, it's like you better get out of that vicinity. Everything goes way faster when the wind hits. We've had windstorms happening here where I live as well. So we might see windstorms, more hurricanes, more forest fires that go out of control quickly, things like that. Again, not trying to be fear-based, but that's what this kind of energy brings. Okay, and then Uranus and Gemini. Last time Uranus was in Gemini was 1941 to 1949. Well, that was World War II. Okay, that was when Pearl Harbor was attacked. That's when the atomic bomb was developed. That's when the Cold War happened in 46. That's when women entered the workforce, and that's when the baby boomers were born. So, the big one, if you were to ask me what's the big one, I mean, the Neptune, the Saturn and Neptune both joining Aries is big, but also, we've got Uranus entering Gemini. That is fast, quick technology like we have never seen. Manifestations for those of us who are working on it, doing the shadow work, doing all the things, coaching with the cosmos, poetry of the planets, you name it. We might be manifesting like we had always dreamed of. And being with Uranus, being in Taurus for so long, it grounded us. We learned how to do the meditation practices, the sound healing. We learned all of it. We had to heal ourselves and slow down so that we're ready for the Uranus and Gemini energy for it to expand and go quick. But I would also say it's those 0 degree, 29-degree marks, that tension, the unsteady energy of back and forth. We need to embrace change. We need to say change is our friend, be it a mantra. We need to say triggers are our best friends. We need to, if maybe that's a mantra, shadow work. So again, I'll provide a link to this book. This book's such a great guide. It explains what triggers are, what shadows are, how to do shadow work, and how to combine it with your astrology birth chart. And then my new book, this is such a solid one. This is the one you've all been asking me to write for 5, 6, 7 years, whatever it's been. How do you do astrology? So this is volume 1. And I talk about the big three, sun, moon, rising. Those really are the basics of a person, but I'm going to be writing more volumes over this year, over 2025. And also, if you want my free guide of what the astrology, the big stuff of 2025, it's in the description here. You can get that for free and watch for my ebook on how to manifest with the moons of 2025. We didn't even get into that. We didn't even get into that in this particular video, but I will make a video about the moons, of course, and I will let you know when my ebook is ready to do moon journaling, manifest with the moons. Let's all embrace this fast energy. It's a 9-year, I will say again as I close out this video, this is a 9-year asking us to let go, let Goddess, so that we can open the door for this new world that is emerging. This is a preparation year for all of us. preparing us for this 29-degree mark, 0-degree mark, going back, finishing up those last lessons, getting ready for the 0-degree. And that has everything to do with being our own hero, making the decisions that are best for us, taking radical responsibility for ourselves, letting go of any ounce of victim stories so that we can step into this empowered new world. It takes work. The cosmos have been coaching us to slow down, as I've been talking about in this video, to slow down and to embrace the shadow work, embrace the triggers so that we can have a whole new you, a whole new self into the new world. So I hope that this video has given you some prep for 2025, the 9 year that we have all been preparing for, and there's going to be even more preparation in 2025 for the whole new world that we're stepping into 2026 and onwards. So I hope this video served you. Share in the comments what you're most excited about. What are the most exciting transits that you can see with those 4 outer planets switching into signs? Which ones are you most excited about? Okay, thank you for watching and have a blessed, wishing you a blessed 2025.